Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy History Channel. Tonight, we're looking up at one of the most famous buildings ever made. The Empire State Building is more than a skyscraper. It is a story of ambition rising during a time of fear. When it opened, America was struggling through the Great Depression. Yet high above Manhattan, workers had created something that seemed almost impossible. A tower of steel and stone had climbed into the sky with a speed that still feels astonishing today. This building became a symbol almost as soon as it appeared. It shaped the way people imagined New York. It changed how cities thought about height. It gave the skyline a form that millions of people would recognize in an instant. Its story is filled with bold engineering. It is also filled with human risk. Behind the polished lobby and famous observation decks, there is a deeper history of pressure, pride, survival, and reinvention. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders soften. Allow your breathing to slow. And as the day begins to fade, join me as we explore the remarkable story of the Empire State Building together. Let's begin. The Empire State Building was built in just 1 year and 45 days. Speed is part of the legend, but the real wonder is how controlled that speed was. The site was not a quiet field where builders could spread out. It sat in the middle of Manhattan, surrounded by traffic, businesses, and daily city life. Materials had to arrive at the right moment, in the right order, with little room for delay. Steel columns, stone panels, pipes, cables, and elevator parts moved through the project like pieces in a vast machine. Workers followed a rhythm so precise that the frame seemed to climb almost visibly from week to week. This was not just haste. It was planning on an almost breathtaking scale. Every floor depended on the one below it. Every delivery depended on the last. In an age before modern computers, the coordination relied on human calculation, paper schedules, experience, and trust. The result was a skyscraper that rose faster than many people could believe possible. It became the tallest building on Earth before it was fully occupied. There is something strange about a tower becoming a global champion while many of its rooms still waited for life. Its height was undeniable. Its purpose took longer to settle. The structure had reached beyond every rival, and newspapers treated it as a marvel of modern ambition. Yet inside, the economic reality was harder. The country was in the grip of a severe financial crisis, and companies were cautious about renting space. This created a fascinating contrast. From the street, the tower looked like confidence made solid. Behind the windows, whole areas remained quiet. That tension is part of what makes the story so compelling. The building did not become legendary because everything went smoothly. It became legendary because it stood through uncertainty. It was proof that architecture can claim the future before the future is ready to arrive. Its upper floors looked over a city that was still deciding how to use such a giant. Its spire was meant to welcome passengers from giant airships. The idea sounds almost unbelievable now, yet it was presented with real seriousness. Designers imagined passengers crossing the Atlantic in great floating craft, then docking high above Manhattan as if the skyline were an airport. They would step from an airship into the tower and descend by elevator into the city. It was a vision of travel that belonged to the machine age, full of confidence in speed, height, and spectacle. The problem was the weather. Airships were enormous and difficult to control, especially near a tall building surrounded by strong, shifting winds. Even a small change in air current could turn a glamorous arrival into a dangerous struggle. The proposal gave the tower extra drama, but reality quickly exposed its limits. In the end, the mast became something else entirely. It remained as a striking crown, a symbol of a future that people could imagine more easily than they could safely build. A wartime bomber once crashed into the building and it survived. On a foggy morning in 1945, a military plane lost its way over New York. The aircraft struck high on the north side, tearing into the tower with a force that stunned the city. Fire spread through offices. Debris fell through the interior. People inside faced a sudden disaster in a place that had seemed permanent and secure. Yet the structure did not collapse. The steel frame absorbed the impact and held its form. Emergency crews arrived quickly, and the damage was contained with remarkable speed. The event revealed something important about skyscraper design. A tall building is not just a stack of rooms. It is a network of strength, with loads distributed through columns, beams, and bracing. The accident was tragic, but it also became a grim demonstration of resilience. The tower had been built for ordinary use, yet it endured an extraordinary blow and remained standing over the city. The tower rose from the former site of the original Waldorf Astoria. Before the skyscraper claimed the corner, the land belonged to one of New York's most famous hotels. The original Waldorf Astoria was a place of luxury, society, and public attention. Its rooms hosted wealthy travelers and powerful guests during an earlier age of Manhattan glamour. Then the city changed. Land values rose, business moved northward, and height became more valuable than old prestige. The hotel was demolished, not because it lacked fame, but because the future demanded a different kind of monument. That transformation gives the site a deeper meaning. It was not an empty plot waiting for greatness. It was a stage where one version of New York gave way to another. Private luxury was replaced by vertical ambition. A place known for grand dinners and elegant suites became the foundation for a building that would be seen around the world. The ground itself tells a story of changing power. Its construction became a symbol of courage during the Great Depression. At a time when many people were losing work, savings, and confidence, the rising tower offered a different image. It showed labor in motion. It showed steel climbing above the streets. It showed that enormous plans had not completely disappeared. For passers-by, the construction site must have felt almost unreal against the mood of the country. Banks were failing. Families were struggling. Yet here was a project that seemed to insist that the future still had size and shape. The courage was not only in the money behind it. It was in the workers who climbed into the open air day after day. It was in the planners who kept the schedule moving despite public doubt. It was in the decision to build upward when so much else seemed to be falling. The tower became more than a commercial venture. It became a public signal that modern America still believed in making something astonishing. The building was nicknamed the Empty State Building after opening. The nickname was sharp because it contained a painful truth. After the grand opening, many offices did not fill as quickly as investors had hoped. The tower had achieved fame, but fame did not automatically pay the bills. During the Depression, businesses were reluctant to take on expensive space, even inside a landmark. At night, the darkened windows made the problem visible. A skyscraper designed to project success was partly hollow in economic terms. Yet this embarrassment is one of the most human parts of the story. Great monuments often look inevitable after they survive, but they rarely feel inevitable at the start. For years, critics could point to the vacancies as proof that the project had been too ambitious. They were not entirely wrong. They were also not seeing the long view. The building outlasted the insult. What once sounded like failure now feels like a chapter in a much larger rise. Its observation deck became profitable before many offices were rented. The view became a business before the building fully did. People who could not afford office space inside the tower could still buy a ticket and experience its height. That changed everything. The observation deck turned the skyscraper into a public attraction, not just a private workplace. Visitors came to see Manhattan from above, and the income helped soften the disappointment of empty floors. This is one of the most surprising twists in the building's early life. Its success came partly from wonder. A person did not need to be a tenant, financier, or engineer to feel connected to the tower. They only had to step into an elevator and rise above the city. The deck transformed height into experience. It made the building useful to millions of ordinary people. Long before modern landmark tourism became a major industry, this skyscraper discovered that the skyline itself could become something people would pay to remember. The Empire State Building was once the world's first 100-floor building. Crossing that threshold mattered because it turned height into a new kind of public imagination. Earlier skyscrapers had already changed cities, but this one pushed the idea into a realm that felt almost mythical. A building with that many levels suggested a city stacked upon itself. It made people rethink what a street corner could contain. The number was more than a technical milestone. It was easy to understand, easy to repeat, and powerful enough to become part of the legend. Each floor represented usable space, vertical planning, elevator strategy, fire protection, plumbing, wiring, and human movement. A tower that tall had to function as an organized system, not just a tall wall of offices. It needed to bring people upward efficiently and bring them safely back down. The achievement showed that the modern skyscraper had entered a new age. The question was no longer whether cities could build that high, but how much higher they might someday go. Its silhouette helped define New York for nearly a century. A skyline is made of many buildings, yet only a few become symbols that people recognize instantly. This tower did that through proportion as much as height. Its stepped sides, central shaft, and tapering crown gave it a profile that could be reduced to a simple outline and still be understood. That is rare. Many tall buildings are impressive up close, but become anonymous at a distance. This one kept its identity from every angle. It appeared on postcards, film posters, guidebooks, souvenirs, and newsreels, until it became part of the city's visual language. People who had never visited New York could still picture it. The shape carried ideas with it. It suggested ambition, density, and confidence without needing explanation. Over time, newer towers rose around it, and some surpassed it in height. Still, the old form remained unmistakable. It became less like a building among buildings and more like a signature. Shreve, Lamb, and Harmon designed the tower in astonishingly little time. The architectural team worked under pressure that would make most designers hesitate. They were not simply asked to make a tall building. They had to create a landmark, a rentable office machine, and a record breaker with extraordinary speed. William Lamb produced the central design concept quickly, but that did not mean the work was simple. A skyscraper of this scale required thousands of decisions about structure, circulation, materials, setbacks, entrances, windows, and mechanical systems. Each choice affected the next. A change in the frame could alter the elevators. A change in the plan could affect rentable space. The design had to be bold enough to win attention and practical enough to be built at breathtaking pace. That balance is why the achievement still impresses. The tower does not look improvised. It looks calm, ordered, and certain. Behind that certainty was a compressed burst of professional skill, shaped by architects who knew time itself was part of the challenge. William Lamb based the building's shape on a simple pencil. The pencil story is memorable because it makes the design feel suddenly understandable. A tall shaft, sharpened toward the top, becomes a natural model for a skyscraper that wants to rise cleanly. Of course, the final building was far more complex than a desk object. The idea had to be transformed into floor plates, setbacks, structural bays, elevator cores, and exterior walls. Still, the comparison reveals something important about great design. Sometimes a powerful form begins with a clear image that anyone can grasp. The tower's strength comes from that clarity. It does not twist or scatter attention. It rises with a directness that feels almost inevitable. The pencil also fits the age that produced it. This was a business building shaped for efficiency, calculation, and speed. The simple inspiration became a serious architectural solution. From one slender object came a tower that would mark the horizon for generations. Former Governor Al Smith became the project's famous public face. Al Smith gave the skyscraper a voice that people already knew. He had been governor of New York and had run for president, which made him one of the most recognizable public figures in the country. When he became associated with the project, he helped turn a real estate venture into a civic event. His presence mattered because skyscrapers were not only engineering achievements. They were statements about confidence, influence, and the direction of the city. Smith could speak to newspapers, investors, workers, and the public with political instinct. He understood ceremony and attention. He also understood New York as a place of ambition. By attaching his name and energy to the tower, he helped frame it as something larger than an office block. The project needed steel and stone, but it also needed belief. Smith helped sell that belief at a moment when public faith in big ventures was difficult to maintain. John J. Ruskob helped imagine a tower higher than Chrysler's. Ruskob was a financier with a taste for bold gestures. He understood that height could be more than a measurement. It could be a headline, a challenge, and a way to seize attention in a crowded city. The Chrysler Building had already electrified New York with its gleaming crown, and the race for the sky had become almost personal among powerful developers. Ruskob wanted something that would not merely compete. He wanted something that would dominate. His ambition helped push the project beyond ordinary commercial logic. A shorter building might have been easier to rent and cheaper to finish, but it would not have changed the skyline in the same way. That is the fascinating tension behind his vision. Practical business and spectacular ego were not separate forces. They worked together. The desire to surpass a rival helped create a landmark whose fame eventually became one of its greatest assets. The building's height race transformed Manhattan into a vertical battleground. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, skyscrapers were not just buildings. They were declarations. Developers competed for tenants, status, publicity, and the title of tallest in the world. Manhattan became the stage for this contest because its bedrock, density, wealth, and business culture all encouraged upward growth. The public watched new towers rise with the excitement of a sporting event. Every added foot could matter. Every crown and mast could change the result. The competition produced some of the most recognizable architecture of the era, but it also revealed a deeper shift in urban life. Cities were no longer expanding only outward. They were beginning to stack themselves into the sky. The race was risky, expensive, and sometimes irrational. Yet it gave New York a skyline unlike any other. The Empire State Building emerged from this contest as the clearest victory, a final exclamation point on an age of vertical daring. Workers assembled its steel frame faster than 4 floors each week. The pace was almost theatrical. People on nearby streets could watch the skeleton climb with astonishing regularity, as if the tower were being pulled upward by invisible force. Behind that speed was a disciplined sequence. Steel pieces arrived marked for their exact positions. Derricks lifted them into place. Crews guided each beam, aligned connections, and secured the frame so the next level could begin. The work demanded nerve as well as skill. Men moved across narrow beams high above the city, while cranes swung heavy loads through open air. There was little margin for confusion. A delay in one part of the frame could slow everyone behind it. The achievement was not just that workers moved quickly. It was that they moved quickly while building something that had to stand for decades. The rising frame became a public performance of coordination, strength, and confidence. Each new tier made the impossible seem a little more ordinary. The steel skeleton used more than 57,000 tons of metal. That amount of steel is difficult to picture because it was not piled in one place. It was distributed through the building as a hidden anatomy. Columns carried weight downward. Beams tied the structure together. Bracing helped the tower resist wind and movement. Every piece had to serve a purpose, and every connection had to fit into the larger system. The frame made height possible because steel can hold enormous loads without requiring walls so thick that the lower floors become useless. This was the great skyscraper breakthrough. A tall building no longer had to depend on masonry alone. It could stand on a metal framework and let the outer walls act more like a skin. Inside that framework, offices could be opened, elevators installed, and services threaded through the structure. The tons of metal were not merely material. They were the reason a building could become a vertical city without crushing itself under its own weight. Its limestone exterior came from quarries in Indiana. The pale stone gives the tower much of its dignity. Indiana limestone had become a favored material for important American buildings because it was strong, workable, and visually refined. It could be cut into clean panels and fitted into a facade with disciplined precision. For a skyscraper, that mattered. The exterior needed to look elegant from the street while also moving rapidly through construction. Stone from the quarry had to be extracted, shaped, transported, lifted, and placed in rhythm with the rest of the work. By the time it reached Manhattan, it was part of a national chain of labor that stretched far beyond New York. The material also softened the building's immense scale. Steel gave the tower its strength, but limestone gave it a public face. In sunlight, the surface can appear warm and orderly rather than harsh. That calm exterior helped turn an engineering feat into an architectural landmark. The lobby was designed to feel like a grand metallic shrine. Entering the building was meant to feel like stepping into the future of the city. The lobby used metal, stone, geometry, and light to create a sense of controlled grandeur. It did not imitate an old palace. It celebrated the modern age. The surfaces reflected the Art Deco belief that machines and luxury could belong together. Lines were sharp. Details were disciplined. Ornaments served the idea of upward motion. Even the famous wall image of the tower presented the building almost like an object of civic pride. For office workers, the lobby was a daily passage. For visitors, it was the first proof that the skyscraper was not only tall, but carefully staged. That mattered because a landmark must work at human scale as well as skyline scale. The experience began before the elevator ride. It began at ground level, where design turned a commercial entrance into a ceremonial threshold. Its famous ceiling mural was hidden for decades beneath panels. The concealment is one of the most surprising chapters in the building's interior history. A ceiling created to crown the lobby was covered during a later renovation, and for years most visitors had no idea what had been lost above them. Styles change, and mid-century tastes often rejected the richness of earlier Art Deco interiors. What once seemed glamorous could be treated as outdated. The hidden mural became a reminder that landmarks are vulnerable even after they survive construction, weather, and time. Their details can disappear through ordinary decisions. When the lobby was restored, the ceiling's return helped people see the building more completely. It was not just about recovering decoration. It was about recovering intent. The original designers wanted the entrance to feel elevated and memorable. Restoring that overhead world brought back part of the tower's personality. It allowed the building to speak again in the visual language of its own era. The original elevators were among the fastest in the world. For a skyscraper of this height to work, elevators were not a luxury. They were the hidden arteries of the whole building. Without them, the upper floors would have been impressive, but almost useless. Engineers had to move thousands of people through a vertical structure without turning the lobby into a permanent crowd. The solution required powerful machines, careful grouping, and a system that divided the building into zones. Riders did not simply enter a box and hope for the best. They moved through a planned network designed to carry people upward with remarkable speed for its time. That changed the feeling of height. A person could step in at street level and, moments later, arrive high above the noise of the avenue. The elevator made the impossible ordinary. It turned a record-breaking tower into a functioning workplace. Every smooth ascent carried a small miracle of cables, motors, brakes, signals, and trust. More than 3,000 workers helped raise the skyscraper. The tower is often remembered as a single object, but it was really the result of thousands of separate human efforts. Each worker brought a specific skill to the site. Some handled steel, some shaped stone, some installed pipes, wiring, windows, floors, fixtures, or machinery. The project depended on experienced hands as much as bold plans. A skyscraper cannot be willed into existence by financiers alone. It must be lifted, fitted, checked, tightened, polished, and made safe by people whose names are mostly lost to history. That gives the building a deeper kind of grandeur. Behind every famous photograph is a crowded world of labor. Behind every clean line are hands that measured, carried, hammered, climbed, and adjusted. Many workers were supporting families during a national crisis. Their paychecks mattered. Their courage mattered. The skyline became a record of their effort. The finished tower still stands as a monument to people who built something larger than themselves. Many Mohawk ironworkers worked fearlessly high above Manhattan. Among the most admired figures in skyscraper construction were native ironworkers from Mohawk communities. Their reputation for balance, nerve, and skill became legendary on high steel. They moved along narrow beams with a confidence that astonished observers, though it was not magic and not carelessness. It was training, culture, experience, and pride in dangerous work done well. Many came from communities with a long history of bridge and steel construction, where knowledge passed through families and crews. In Manhattan, they helped create the new vertical city while standing in places most people could barely look at. Their work also carried a hidden social story. Indigenous men were shaping one of the most famous symbols of American modernity, even while their own histories were often ignored by the public. To understand the tower fully, we have to see the people on the beams. Their presence gives the skyline a human inheritance that is both brave and deeply important. The building opened during one of America's hardest economic moments. The timing could hardly have been more dramatic. When the doors opened, the country was deep in the Great Depression. Businesses were failing. Confidence had been shaken. For many Americans, the future felt smaller than it had only a few years before. Against that background, a new skyscraper of unprecedented height sent a complicated message. It looked triumphant, yet it stood in a wounded economy. It promised progress while the streets below reflected hardship. That contrast made the opening more powerful, not less. The tower did not erase the crisis. It stood inside it. People could look up and see a structure that seemed to deny despair through sheer physical presence. Some saw extravagance. Others saw work, ambition, and proof that large dreams had not vanished. The building's early years were financially difficult, but its symbolic life began immediately. It gave the public something rare in that moment, a visible sign of endurance. President Hoover turned on its lights from Washington by button. The opening ceremony carried a touch of theater that suited the age of radio, electricity, and spectacle. Herbert Hoover did not need to stand in Manhattan to mark the occasion. From the nation's capital, he pressed a button that signaled the tower's lights to shine. The act connected the building to national attention, not just local pride. It suggested that this skyscraper belonged to the story of America's modern future. The gesture also showed how technology was becoming part of public ritual. A button could bridge distance. A president could illuminate a landmark hundreds of miles away. For the people watching, the moment must have felt like progress made visible. Electric light was already familiar, but here it became ceremonial. The tower was not merely opened, it was activated. That first illumination transformed steel and stone into a nighttime presence. From then on, the building would not only rise above the city by day, it would glow over it after dark. The first tenants entered a skyscraper still surrounded by hardship. Imagine arriving for work in a building that felt like the future, while the world outside was struggling to hold itself together. That was the strange experience of the earliest occupants. They walked into polished halls, modern elevators, and offices high above one of the busiest cities on Earth. Yet the wider economy was marked by unemployment, anxiety, and uncertainty. The contrast gave daily life inside the tower a particular tension. For some tenants, the address offered prestige at a time when prestige was valuable. For others, simply working there meant participating in a bold experiment in urban height. The building was not fully filled, but the people who did occupy it helped turn a record into a routine. Their footsteps, desks, phones, papers, and meetings gave the tower a working pulse. A skyscraper becomes real only when people begin using it. Those first tenants helped transform a famous structure into an inhabited world. Its Art Deco style turned machinery into elegance. Art Deco was perfectly suited to a skyscraper age because it loved speed, geometry, and modern materials. Instead of hiding the feeling of industry, it refined it. The style took sharp lines, metal surfaces, stepped forms, and repeated patterns, then made them feel glamorous. That is why the tower does not look like a stone mountain or an old cathedral. It looks like a machine-age monument with manners. Its decorative language belongs to elevators, electricity, aviation, and city lights, but it presents those ideas with polish. This mattered because tall office buildings could easily have become cold and purely practical. Art Deco gave them drama without making them heavy. It made progress feel beautiful. The Empire State Building uses that language with unusual restraint. It is not overloaded with ornament. It is disciplined, vertical, and confident. The result is a building that feels both functional and ceremonial, as if business itself had been given a crown. The tower's setbacks followed New York's sky exposure rules. The building's step shape was not only an artistic choice. It grew from rules created after earlier skyscrapers cast deep shadows over the streets. New York wanted height, but it also needed light and air to reach the city below. The zoning rules required tall buildings to narrow as they rose, allowing sunlight to fall between them. This changed architecture in a dramatic way. Instead of simple vertical boxes, the skyline gained towers that climbed in stages. The Empire State Building turned that requirement into a strength. Its setbacks make the structure feel lighter as it rises. They guide the eye upward and give the building its recognizable outline. A regulation meant to protect the street helped create one of the most famous forms in architecture. That is the fascinating twist. A legal constraint became a visual gift. The city did not just permit the tower's shape. In a real sense, it helped sculpt it. Its shape allowed sunlight to reach the streets below. A skyscraper can feel like it belongs only to the sky, but its design also affects the people walking at ground level. If a tower rises straight up without restraint, it can cast long, heavy shadows and make streets feel canyon-like. The stepped profile reduced that effect. As the building climbs, it pulls back from the street, allowing more daylight to filter down. This was part of the larger conversation about what a modern city should feel like. New York wanted density, but not total darkness at street level. The tower became a compromise between ambition and public space. It could reach extraordinary height while still acknowledging the life below it. That balance is easy to miss because most visitors focus on the view from above. Yet the building's form also serves those who never enter it. Its narrowing mass gives the surrounding streets a share of the light, which makes the skyscraper feel less oppressive. The mast made the building appear even taller than its rivals. At the top of the tower, height becomes theater. The mast gave the building a final upward thrust that made it look more commanding than its main competitors. From a distance, it extended the eye beyond the occupied floors and turned the roofline into a pointed climax. This mattered in the height race because public perception was almost as important as measurement. People remembered which building seemed to rule the skyline. The mast helped secure that impression. It also gave the structure a futuristic quality, as if it were not just a place for offices, but a platform for new forms of travel and communication. Even after its earliest proposed purpose faded, the mast remained essential to the building's identity. Without it, the tower would still be impressive. With it, the building becomes unmistakable. The crown does not simply finish the shape. It adds drama, direction, and a sense that the whole structure is still reaching. Airship docking sounded futuristic, but Manhattan winds made it dangerous. The dream depended on calm control in a place that rarely offered it. Airships are vast, light, and sensitive to moving air. Manhattan's tall buildings create complicated wind patterns, with gusts rushing around corners and changing direction unexpectedly. Trying to hold a huge craft beside the top of a skyscraper would have been difficult, even in good conditions. Passengers would have faced another problem. They would need to transfer from a moving aircraft to a fixed structure far above the street. What sounded elegant in a drawing looked far more troubling in real air. The idea reveals how boldly people imagined the future during that period. They believed cities, machines, and travel could be joined in spectacular new ways. Yet it also shows the difference between ambition and practicality. The skyline could inspire a dream, but weather had the final authority. The mast remained, while the airship future quietly drifted away. Only one small airship ever managed a brief experimental contact. The test was more symbolic than useful. A small dirigible approached the tower and briefly made contact, showing that the idea was not completely imaginary. But the moment also revealed how limited the whole scheme truly was. A light experimental craft was one thing. A large passenger airship carrying people, luggage, fuel, and crew was another matter entirely. The city air was too unsettled, and the risks were too obvious. Even a successful contact could not solve the basic problem of regular service. For a transport system to work, it must be repeatable, safe, and reliable under changing conditions. The experiment offered a glimpse of a futuristic fantasy, but not a workable transportation plan. That is what makes the story so charming. The tower briefly touched an idea that belonged halfway between engineering and science fiction. Then history moved on. The mast stayed behind as a physical memory of a future that almost happened. The 86th floor deck became a world-famous viewpoint. A great observation deck does more than show a view. It changes a person's relationship with the city. From this level, Manhattan becomes readable in a new way. Streets that feel confusing below arrange themselves into a pattern. Rivers appear as boundaries. Buildings become a landscape of roofs, towers, and movement. For many visitors, the experience is their first true sense of New York's scale. The height is thrilling, but the real power comes from recognition. Places heard about in films, news, music, and stories suddenly appear together beneath the sky. The deck also made the building democratic in a way the offices could not. Anyone with a ticket could share the height that had been created for business. This helped turn the skyscraper into a public landmark. People did not just admire it from outside. They entered it, rose through it, and carried away a memory from above the city. The 102nd floor deck sits inside the tower's spire. This upper deck offers a different kind of experience because it feels tucked inside the building's crown. Visitors are not simply standing on a high terrace. They are inside the narrow, elevated portion that gives the tower its famous finish. The view is more enclosed, more focused, and more intimate than the larger deck below. It reminds you that the uppermost part of the building is not only decorative. It contains rooms, stairs, mechanical spaces, windows, and human access. That is part of the magic of skyscrapers. What looks from the street like a distant point is actually a constructed place. People can stand there and look out across the city from within the silhouette itself. The height carries a feeling of separation from ordinary street life. Traffic becomes a pattern. Noise drops away behind glass. The visitor is no longer only seeing New York. They are seeing it from inside one of its most famous symbols. Visitors once reached the top by changing elevators twice. Early trips to the highest levels were a small journey within the building. Reaching the top was not as simple as one uninterrupted ride. Visitors passed from one elevator system to another, moving through the tower in stages. That process made the ascent feel more dramatic. Each transfer reminded people that they were climbing through a vertical structure of unusual size. Today, speed and convenience often hide the complexity of tall buildings. In earlier years, the journey made that complexity more noticeable. The changeovers reflected the practical challenges of elevator design in extreme height. Different banks served different zones so that traffic could be managed efficiently. For tourists, the system added anticipation. They were not merely transported. They progressed upward, step by step, toward a view few people in history had ever experienced. The building became a machine that visitors entered and crossed vertically, with each elevator ride carrying them deeper into its height. The observation decks have welcomed well over 100 million guests. Few architectural spaces have been personally experienced by so many people. That number means the building's fame is not only based on photographs or movies. It lives in memory after memory. Honeymooners, school groups, soldiers, families, travelers, and lifelong New Yorkers have all stood above the city and looked outward from the same landmark. Each visitor brings a private reason for going up. Some come for romance. Some come for history. Some come because the name has lived in their imagination for years. This makes the observation decks part of the building's emotional life. Office floors serve tenants, but the decks serve the world. They turn architecture into a shared experience across generations. A person can visit decades after a parent or grandparent and stand in nearly the same place. The view changes as the city changes, yet the act of looking remains constant. That continuity helps explain why the tower feels personal to millions. Celebrities, presidents, and royalty have all visited its decks. A landmark becomes more powerful when famous people treat it as a destination. Over the decades, public figures from politics, film, music, and royal families have visited the tower, often with cameras waiting. These visits were not just sightseeing stops. They confirmed the building's status as a place where history and publicity naturally gathered. For a president, the deck offered a commanding view of an American city. For an actor, it connected them to a skyline already filled with cinematic meaning. For royal visitors, it represented modern New York in a single experience. Yet the fascinating part is that famous guests stood where ordinary visitors also stand. The view did not belong only to power. It could be shared by anyone who made the ascent. That mixture of celebrity and public access helped deepen the building's appeal. It is grand enough for dignitaries, but open enough for everyday wonder. King Kong made the tower legendary just 2 years after opening. Cinema changed the building's destiny almost immediately. In 1933, the giant ape climbed the skyscraper in one of the most famous scenes ever created for film. The image fused the tower with myth. A real modern landmark became the stage for a story about beauty, fear, spectacle, and power. Audiences around the world saw the building not just as tall, but as dramatic enough to hold a monster at its summit. That association arrived while the tower was still new. It helped turn fresh architecture into instant legend. The scene also worked because the building already seemed extreme. Its height made the impossible feel almost believable. The film did not create the tower's fame from nothing. It amplified something already present in the public imagination. After King Kong, the skyscraper was no longer only a record holder or office building. It had become a place where modern engineering met fantasy on a global screen. The building became a movie star almost as famous as Manhattan. Some buildings appear in films as background. This one often becomes part of the story itself. Directors use it because audiences understand it immediately. A single glimpse can say New York without explanation. It can suggest arrival, ambition, romance, loneliness, danger, or memory, depending on how the camera frames it. That is unusual power for architecture. The tower works on screen because its form is clear and emotionally loaded. It can stand in daylight as a symbol of achievement, or at night as a glowing point above the city. Over time, repeated appearances created a feedback loop. The more films used the building, the more viewers associated it with the city. The more viewers associated it with the city, the more filmmakers wanted to use it. In that way, the skyscraper became both a real place and a cinematic language. It is not just seen in movies. It helps movies speak. Its lights have marked holidays, victories, tragedies, and celebrations. The tower's lighting has become a public signal. When the colors change, people know the building is responding to something beyond itself. Sometimes the occasion is joyful. Sometimes it is solemn. Sometimes it reflects a cultural moment, a sports result, or a civic remembrance. This gives the skyscraper an unusual role in public life. It does not only stand above the city, it communicates with it. The lights turn the upper tower into a kind of shared message board, visible from streets, rooftops, bridges, and distant neighborhoods. That visibility matters because a city of millions rarely experiences one moment in exactly the same way. A lit landmark can gather attention without words. It can acknowledge grief without speech. It can celebrate without closing a street. The building becomes part of the emotional weather of New York. Its illuminated crown reminds people that architecture can participate in public feeling long after construction is over. The first tower lights were simple white searchlights. The earliest lighting did not have the color systems that people recognize today. It relied on strong white beams that made the tower visible in the night sky. That simplicity suited the period. Searchlights were associated with modern spectacle, aviation, premieres, and important public events. When aimed at a skyscraper, they turned height into a nighttime performance. The building could no longer disappear after sunset. It became a vertical presence after dark, separating itself from the surrounding city through brightness alone. White light also emphasized the tower's form in a direct way. It picked out the crown, the mast, and the upper structure without needing symbolic color. In those early years, electric illumination itself still carried a powerful sense of modernity. To light a building at that scale was to declare that the city did not end with daylight. The searchlights gave the tower a second life each evening, one made of visibility, attention, and atmosphere. Colored lighting became one of its most recognizable traditions. Color changed the tower from an illuminated structure into a storyteller. Once the lighting system could shift shades, the building gained a new public language. Red, green, blue, gold, and other combinations could be connected to occasions that people understood from far away. The effect was simple but powerful. A person did not need to enter the building or read an announcement to sense that something was being marked. The crown became expressive. Over time, this tradition made the tower feel responsive to the life of the city. It could acknowledge seasons, causes, milestones, and moments of shared attention. The practice also kept the building current. Even as newer towers rose around it, its changing lights gave people a fresh reason to look up. Color helped preserve familiarity without freezing the landmark in the past. The structure stayed the same, but its nightly meaning could change again and again. The building sometimes dims its lights during bird migration seasons. A skyscraper can affect life far above the sidewalk. During migration, many birds travel at night, using natural cues to navigate. Bright city lights can confuse them, especially when clouds or fog reduce visibility. Dimming major towers helps reduce the risk of birds being drawn off course or into dangerous flight paths. This practice shows a different side of the building's story. The same height that makes it impressive also gives it environmental responsibility. A landmark is not isolated from nature just because it stands in a city. It shares the sky with living creatures making long seasonal journeys. Turning down the lights is a small action, but it reflects a larger awareness of how urban design interacts with the natural world. It also adds humility to the tower's grandeur. The building may be a symbol of human ambition, but at certain times of year, it steps back for wings passing through the night. Millions of birds pass near its tower during migration. New York sits along a major migratory corridor, which means the sky above the city becomes a hidden highway during certain seasons. Many people walking below never notice. While streets remain full of taxis, footsteps, and conversation, birds are moving overhead in vast numbers. The tower stands within that aerial world. Its height places it close to journeys that began far away and may continue for hundreds or thousands of miles. This adds an unexpected layer to the building's identity. It is not only part of the skyline seen by humans. It is also an obstacle, marker, and neighbor in the path of migrating wildlife. The fact can change how you imagine the city at night. Above the lit windows and rooftops, there is movement most people never see. The tower belongs to that story too. It rises through human history, but it also stands inside ancient seasonal patterns that long predate skyscrapers. The Empire State Building has its own official lighting calendar, The lighting does not change randomly. Behind the glow is an organized system of scheduling, requests, approvals, and public meaning. An official calendar allows people to know why the tower appears in certain colors on certain nights. That turns a visual display into a civic record. Each lighting decision becomes part of the building's ongoing public role. The calendar also shows how many groups and occasions want to be associated with the landmark. To have the tower lit in recognition of an event is to borrow a piece of New York's visibility. It gives the occasion a place in the skyline. This is a fascinating reversal of the building's original purpose. It began as private real estate, but its upper lights now function almost like a public ceremony. The schedule is a reminder that famous buildings have responsibilities beyond their walls. They become symbols that people ask to share, interpret, and remember. Its antenna broadcasts television and radio signals across the region. High above the city, the tower performs work that most visitors never think about. Its antenna equipment sends signals through the air, carrying broadcasts to homes, cars, offices, and devices across a wide area. This role gave the building a second kind of height. It was not only physically tall, it became useful because of that height. Broadcast signals need elevation to travel effectively over dense urban landscapes, and the tower offered an ideal platform. This transformed the skyscraper from a symbol of the machine age into part of the communications age. People could be watching or listening through signals that had passed from the top of the same building they recognized on postcards. That invisible service adds wonder to the familiar outline. The tower did not merely look over the city, it spoke across it. Its upper structure became a place where architecture met the airwaves, turning height into reach. Broadcast equipment turned the tower into a communications powerhouse. Once broadcasters began using the tower, its importance expanded beyond tourism and office space. Engineers installed equipment that made the upper portions part of a technical network. The building had to support antennas, transmission systems, maintenance access, power needs, and changing technology over time. This meant the tower's crown was not frozen as decoration. It kept adapting. The skyline icon also became working infrastructure. That combination is one of the most interesting things about the building. Millions of people knew its shape, while hidden machinery helped distribute sound and images through the region. A family watching television might not think of the skyscraper at all, yet the signal could have depended on its height. As broadcasting evolved, the tower remained valuable because location and elevation still mattered. Its fame came from being seen, but its practical power also came from helping others see and hear. The landmark became both image and instrument. The mast replaced an earlier dream of docking passenger airships. The top of the building changed meaning without changing its visual importance. The original dream connected the mast to luxury travel in the sky. That idea faded when practical difficulties became clear. Later, the same elevated structure found a more realistic use in communications. This is one of the best examples of architectural reinvention. A feature created for one imagined future became valuable in another future that actually arrived. The building did not need to abandon its crown. It needed history to catch up in a different way. The mast became less about passengers stepping down from airships and more about signals moving invisibly through space. That shift tells a broader story about the 20th century. Giant airships lost their promise, while radio and television became central to daily life. The tower's uppermost form survived that transition beautifully. What began as a symbol of one technological dream became a tool for another. The building's lightning rod is struck many times each year. When storms move over Manhattan, the tower often becomes part of the electrical drama above the city. Its height makes it a natural target for lightning, and its protection systems are designed to handle that danger. A strike may look frightening from a distance, but the building is not simply exposed and helpless. Conductive paths guide electrical energy safely down into the ground, away from people and sensitive areas. This turns a violent natural event into a managed engineering problem. The image is still astonishing. A bolt from the clouds can meet the top of a human-made tower and be carried through a system built for exactly that moment. It reminds us that skyscrapers do not conquer nature by ignoring it. They survive by understanding it. The tower stands high enough to meet the weather directly, and its design accepts that role. In a storm, the skyline becomes a meeting place between atmosphere and architecture. Its upper floors can sway gently in strong winds. A tall building must move a little. That may sound unsettling, but it is actually part of safe design. Wind pushes against the tower with changing force, especially near the top. If a skyscraper were perfectly rigid, stress could concentrate in dangerous ways. A controlled amount of movement allows the structure to absorb and distribute pressure. Most people inside would never notice it, though under certain conditions, sensitive occupants may feel a slight motion. This is not a flaw. It is a sign that the building is behaving as intended. Engineers consider comfort as well as strength, because a building can be safe and still unpleasant if movement becomes too noticeable. The Empire State Building was created in an era when skyscraper engineering had already learned important lessons about wind. Its frame, mass, and proportions work together to keep that movement within acceptable limits. The result is a tower that can bend just enough to endure. The tower was engineered to handle far more stress than ordinary weather. A building of this scale cannot be designed only for calm days. High above the street, the air behaves differently. Wind does not simply touch the walls. It presses, shifts, and changes force as it moves around the structure. Engineers had to think about loads that most people never imagine. The weight of the building pushed downward. The weather pushed sideways. Temperature changes made materials expand and contract. Inside, thousands of people, machines, pipes, and elevators added their own demands. The answer was not one giant support, but a system of strength working together. Steel columns, beams, rivets, floors, and bracing shared the burden. If one part carried pressure, another helped distribute it. That is what makes the tower feel so calm from the outside. Its stillness is not simple. It is the result of hidden calculation. Every day it stands, the building is quietly proving that elegance and endurance can be designed into the same structure. Its foundations anchor deep into the Manhattan bedrock. The miracle above the street begins with stone below it. Manhattan is famous for the hard rock beneath much of the island, and that hidden strength helped make extreme height possible. Builders could not simply place a skyscraper on soft ground and hope for the best. The immense weight needed a firm base that would not shift dangerously over time. Workers excavated down until the structure could be tied into dependable rock. In a way, the building is not merely standing on New York. It is fastened into the ancient geology of the island itself. That connection gives the tower a deeper story than steel and stone. Long before streets, hotels, or skyscrapers existed, the bedrock was forming under pressures almost beyond imagination. Then, millions of years later, human ambition used that ancient foundation to climb upward. The tower's height depends on something most visitors never see. Its skyward confidence begins in the dark ground. Workers built the steel frame with remarkable industrial choreography. The frame rose because many tasks happened in the right order at the right moment. This was not a loose crowd of laborers improvising upward. It was a carefully timed performance. Steel arrived marked and ready. Derricks lifted pieces into the air. Crews guided the columns and beams into position. Riveters secured connections before the next level demanded attention. Below them, other teams prepared floors, services, and materials so the work could keep moving. If one group fell behind, the rhythm of the whole project could suffer. That is why the construction felt almost musical to observers. Each trade entered at its proper time. Each piece had a place in the rising pattern. The building's famous speed came from coordination, not chaos. It showed what industrial organization could achieve when planning and labor were tightly joined. The skyline did not change by accident. It changed because thousands of movements were arranged into one upward motion. Riveters heated metal pins until they glowed red-hot. The sound of riveting was part of the voice of skyscraper construction. Before many modern fastening methods became common, red-hot rivets helped lock steel members together. A rivet was heated until it could be shaped, then tossed or carried to workers who placed it through matching holes in the steel. One side was held firm while the other was hammered into a second head. As the metal cooled, it contracted and gripped the connection tightly. This process demanded timing, strength, and trust. The rivet could not be allowed to pool too soon. The men handling it had to work quickly while surrounded by height, noise, and danger. To the people below, the hammering may have sounded like industry itself. Each blow helped transform separate pieces of steel into one joined frame. The method was rough, hot, and exacting. It gave the building's skeleton a handmade quality hidden inside its monumental scale. A railroad system once moved materials around the construction site. The construction site operated like a small industrial city. With so much material arriving, workers needed a way to move heavy loads efficiently across crowded ground. Temporary tracks helped carry stone, steel, and supplies to the places where crews needed them. This detail reveals how difficult the site was to manage. The challenge was not only lifting materials into the sky, it was getting them through the site without wasting time or blocking other work. Manhattan offered little spare room, so every movement had to matter. A delayed delivery could slow crews above. A misplaced load could clog the ground below. The temporary rail system turned the site into a controlled flow of movement. It made construction less like a pile of materials and more like a production line. The tower's speed depended on this hidden order. Long before the building carried office workers upward, its future was moving along tracks at ground level. Prefabricated parts arrived ready to fit into place. One reason the tower rose so quickly was that much of the work began before materials reached the site. Steel members and other components were prepared to specific dimensions, then delivered with their roles already decided. This reduced the amount of shaping and correction needed in the middle of Manhattan. On a project where time mattered intensely, that was a major advantage. The builders were not creating every piece from scratch at street level. They were assembling a vast structure from parts already made for their positions. It was a powerful example of modern construction thinking. Measure carefully, fabricate precisely, deliver efficiently, and install without hesitation. The method also reduced confusion. A piece that arrived with the correct markings could move through the system more quickly. This approach made the building feel like the product of a new industrial age. It was not handmade in the old sense, yet every piece still depended on human judgment. The construction schedule was planned almost like a military operation. The timetable had to control thousands of actions across a site that changed every day. As the building rose, the work environment kept moving upward, which meant the plan had to move with it. Deliveries, crews, cranes, inspections, and installations all needed coordination. The schedule was not a rough hope. It was a command structure for building at speed. People had to know where to be, when to arrive, what to bring, and what had to happen next. This kind of planning gave the project its extraordinary momentum. The tower did not wait for problems to appear before reacting. The organization tried to anticipate them. That discipline is one reason the construction still feels astonishing. The visible story is a skyscraper climbing into the sky. The invisible story is a battle against delay. Every lost hour mattered. Every successful sequence protected the larger goal. The building was won through planning as much as through strength. Photographers captured workers eating lunch above terrifying open drops. The images of high steel workers became some of the most unforgettable symbols of skyscraper construction. Men sat, stood, or moved across beams with the city falling away beneath them. To viewers on the ground, the photographs seemed almost impossible. They showed ordinary human bodies in extraordinary places, balancing between labor and danger. These images helped shape the public imagination of the era. The skyscraper was no longer only an architectural achievement. It became a human drama played out in the open air. Lunch pails, boats, caps, and work clothes made the scenes feel intimate. The height made them breathtaking. Some photographs were carefully staged for publicity, but the danger of the work was real. The pictures gave faces and bodies to a kind of bravery most people would never experience. They also helped sell the romance of the skyline. The building became famous not only for how it looked when finished, but for the daring required to create it. The project used careful logistics to avoid street-level chaos. Building upward in Manhattan meant fighting disorder before it began. The site sat inside a living city, not apart from it. People still needed to pass nearby. Vehicles still moved through surrounding streets. Deliveries had to arrive without paralyzing the neighborhood. The builders could not allow the ground to become a confused storage yard. Materials were timed, routed, lifted, and cleared with unusual discipline. This is one of the least glamorous parts of skyscraper history, but it is also one of the most important. A tower can be delayed by what happens at curb level just as easily as by what happens in the clouds. Every truck, crate, beam, stone panel, and cable had to enter a larger plan. The success of the project depended on reducing friction between construction and city life. In that sense, the builders were not only making a skyscraper, they were managing a temporary machine inside one of the busiest places on Earth. The skyscraper's address made Fifth Avenue part of its identity. An address can carry its own power. Fifth Avenue was already one of New York's most famous streets, associated with prestige, commerce, and public recognition. Placing the building there gave it an identity that went beyond height. It belonged to a known urban stage. The name of the avenue helped people locate the tower in their imagination before they ever saw it. That mattered for tenants, tourists, newspapers, and investors. A landmark needs a place in the mind, as well as on a map. Fifth Avenue gave the building that kind of instant association. It connected the tower to the city's reputation for ambition and display. The address also helped turn the site into a destination. People could speak of visiting it with the confidence of naming a street known around the world. The building made the avenue more vertical, and the avenue made the building more prestigious. Each strengthened the other. Its opening ceremony happened on the 1st of May, 1931. The date placed the tower's public debut at a striking moment in American history. Spring had arrived, yet the national mood was still shadowed by economic collapse. The ceremony presented a carefully managed image of confidence. Speeches, lights, dignitaries, and press attention turned a commercial building into a public event. It was not enough for the skyscraper simply to be completed. It had to be introduced to the world as an achievement worth believing in. Opening day gave people a clear moment to remember. Before that, the building had been a construction site. Afterward, it was a landmark with a beginning. Ceremonies matter because they shape memory. They tell the public how to feel about a place. In this case, the message was unmistakable. New York had built something extraordinary during a period of fear. The tower opened not as an answer to every problem, but as a sign that ambition had survived. The building stood taller than Chrysler by a dramatic margin. The contest with Chrysler was one of the great episodes in skyscraper history. Chrysler had stunned the city with its gleaming crown and sudden claim to the height record. For a short time, it seemed to own the future. Then the new tower rose past it by a margin too large to ignore. This was not a narrow victory that depended on a hidden measurement. It was a clear visual statement. The skyline had a new ruler. The rivalry mattered because height had become a public obsession. People followed the race because it turned architecture into drama. Each building represented money, design, risk, and ego. Chrysler remained one of the most beautiful towers ever built, but the newcomer seized the title with commanding force. The result gave Manhattan two icons instead of one. One dazzled with decorative brilliance. The other dominated through scale and authority. Together, they defined an age when buildings competed like giants. It kept the world height record for more than 40 years. Holding a record for that long is almost as remarkable as winning it in the first place. Skyscraper technology kept advancing, cities kept growing, and developers kept dreaming. Yet the tower remained unmatched for decades. That endurance gave it time to become deeply rooted in public memory. A short-lived record can become a footnote. A record that lasts across generations becomes part of culture. Children grew up knowing it as the tallest. Tourists crossed oceans to see it. Filmmakers used it as the ultimate symbol of height. Its long reign also meant that the building stood through enormous changes in the world around it. Aviation expanded. Television arrived. Wars were fought. Suburbs grew. New architectural styles appeared. Through all of it, the tower retained its title. By the time another structure finally surpassed it, the Empire State Building no longer needed the record to be famous. The long reign had already made it immortal. The World Trade Center finally surpassed it in 1970. The end of the height record marked the beginning of a new skyline chapter. When the first tower of the World Trade Center rose above it, New York's architectural center of gravity shifted downtown. The older skyscraper no longer held the tallest title, but it did not fade. That is the fascinating part. Some record holders lose meaning when they are surpassed. This one became more historic. Its identity had grown beyond measurement. The change also showed how skyscraper ambition had evolved. The newer towers belonged to a different age of design, finance, and urban planning. They were larger in floor area, simpler in outline, and tied to a massive redevelopment vision. By comparison, the older tower seemed more sculptural and individual. Losing the record made people see it differently. It was no longer the newest champion. It became the great survivor of an earlier dream. The skyline had moved forward, but its old symbol still held emotional power. After September 11th, it again became New York's tallest skyscraper. The return to tallest status came through tragedy, not triumph. After the destruction of the World Trade Center, the city's skyline was wounded in a way that people across the world could feel. The Empire State Building once again stood as the tallest in New York, but the title carried grief with it. Its renewed prominence reminded people of continuity during a period of shock. The building had already survived economic hardship, a wartime plane crash, changing fashions, and the loss of its global record. Now it became part of the city's visual resilience. Looking at it after that day meant seeing more than height. It meant seeing endurance. The tower could not replace what had been lost. Nothing could. Yet its familiar form gave the skyline a point of recognition when so much else felt altered. In that difficult period, the old skyscraper became a symbol not of victory, but of standing on. One World Trade Center later returned the city's height crown. The completion of One World Trade Center changed the skyline again. It restored a new tallest point to Lower Manhattan and gave the city a different symbol for a different century. For the Empire State Building, this could have seemed like another loss of status. Instead, it clarified its role. The older tower no longer needed to be tallest to matter. Its importance came from history, shape, memory, and affection. One World Trade Center carries the weight of rebuilding and remembrance. The Empire State Building carries the story of Depression-era ambition and 20th century modernity. New York is large enough for both symbols. Their relationship shows that skylines are not simple rankings. A city's meaning is layered. A newer tower can take the crown, while an older one remains beloved. Height changes with engineering and time. Emotional recognition is harder to build and far harder to surpass. The building contains thousands of windows arranged in precise vertical lines. Windows do more than let in light. On this tower, they help create rhythm. The repeated vertical lines pull the eye upward and make the building feel taller than its measurements alone. Each window belongs to a human interior, but from outside, they become part of a vast pattern. This is one reason the facade feels orderly rather than chaotic. A skyscraper filled with offices could easily look cluttered if every floor expressed itself differently. Here, repetition gives the mass discipline. The windows also reveal the building's dual nature. By day, they reflect the changing city. By night, some glow while others remain dark, turning the surface into a grid of activity and absence. Behind those openings, countless ordinary workdays unfolded. Letters were typed, calls were made, decisions were taken, and people watched weather move across Manhattan. The famous exterior is therefore not only decorative, it is a visible trace of the lives once arranged inside. Window washers once maintained the glass from narrow exterior ledges. To clean the tower's windows was to work with the city spread far below. Earlier window washers relied on equipment and methods that look startling by modern standards. They moved along exterior ledges and platforms, facing wind, height, and repetitive physical labor. The job required focus as much as courage. Each pane was part of a huge surface that weather constantly marked with dust, rain, soot, and city grime. Clean glass helped maintain the building's appearance, but the labor behind that polished look was easy for visitors to overlook. The work also reminds us that skyscrapers require care after the opening ceremonies end. A landmark is not finished forever on the day it opens. It must be washed, repaired, inspected, and tended. The people who maintain it become part of its continuing story. Their work keeps the tower presentable to the world, one pane at a time, high above the ground. Its lobby model shows the tower radiating beams of light. The famous lobby image presents the building almost as an emblem rather than a simple portrait. The tower appears with rays extending outward, suggesting influence, power, and modern brilliance. This was not modest decoration. It was a statement about what the skyscraper meant to be. In the Art Deco imagination, light often symbolized progress and energy. Placing that image in the lobby told visitors that they were entering more than an office building. They were entering a monument to height and modern confidence. The design also made the building self-aware. It showed visitors an idealized version of the tower while they stood inside the real one. That creates a fascinating loop. The building displays its own myth at the moment people arrive. The image prepares them to feel awe before they reach the elevators. It turns the lobby into a place of introduction. where architecture presents itself like a figure stepping onto a stage. The building's name celebrates New York's famous state nickname. New York had long been known as the Empire State, a phrase linked to power, scale, and economic importance. Giving that name to the skyscraper made the building sound bigger than a private development. It suggested a monument for the whole state, even though it stood on one Manhattan block. The name worked because it was simple, confident, and easy to remember. It did not describe the building's function. It described its ambition. That distinction matters. Many office towers are named for owners, addresses, or companies. This one took on a civic identity from the start. The phrase made the skyscraper feel like the architectural expression of New York's reputation. It also helped the building travel in public memory. People did not need to remember a corporate sponsor or a technical title. They remembered a name that sounded official and grand. The result was branding before the word became common in architecture. The Empire State name was chosen before the skyscraper existed. The phrase already belonged to New York before it belonged to the building. That gave the project an inherited strength. When the developers used it, they were not inventing significance from nothing. They were attaching the tower to a name that already carried pride and recognition. This is one reason the title feels so natural today. It sounds as if the building had always been meant to bear it. Yet there was a strategic decision behind that feeling. A skyscraper seeking tenants and attention needed a name that could command respect immediately. The borrowed phrase did exactly that. It connected the structure to the state's older identity, while presenting it as the newest expression of that identity. The building then changed the phrase in return. After the tower became famous, many people around the world came to associate the nickname with the skyscraper itself. The name shaped the building, and the building reshaped the name. The site once hosted glamorous guests at the Waldorf Astoria. Before steel columns rose there, the block had a very different kind of fame. The original Waldorf Astoria was one of the great social hotels of its age. Its rooms, dining spaces, and public halls attracted wealthy travelers and prominent figures who wanted to be seen in the right place. The hotel belonged to a New York of formal entrances, private gatherings, and elite society. Its presence gave the site a reputation long before the skyscraper arrived. That earlier history adds richness to the tower's story because the land did not move from obscurity to fame. It moved from one kind of fame to another. Hospitality gave way to corporate height. Social prestige gave way to skyline dominance. The people who once entered the hotel came for luxury at ground level. Later visitors would come to rise above the city itself. The same location served two different dreams of New York success. The hotel was demolished to make way for a taller dream. Demolition can be a brutal form of ambition. The original hotel was not insignificant, and its disappearance showed how rapidly New York could sacrifice the famous for the future. The decision reveals the pressure of Manhattan real estate in the early 20th century. Valuable land was expected to produce more value, and height offered a powerful way to do that. A beloved or prestigious building could become vulnerable if a taller project promised greater returns and greater attention. The replacement was not simply larger. It represented a different idea of what mattered. Instead of rooms for visitors, the new plan offered stacked offices and a public symbol of modernity. Something elegant was removed, so something unprecedented could rise. That exchange can feel harsh, but it is also central to the city's character. New York often builds its future on the cleared ground of its own past. The tower's foundation, therefore, rests on both construction and loss. The building's owners hoped prestige would overcome Depression-era vacancy. A famous address was meant to attract tenants, even in a damaged economy. The owners believed that companies would want the status of working inside the tallest and most talked about building in the world. Prestige was part of the business plan. The problem was that prestige could not fully escape the financial climate. Many firms were cautious. Some could not expand. Others saw empty space across the city and had little reason to pay for symbolic height. This created a difficult lesson. A landmark can draw attention, but attention is not the same as rent. Still, the prestige strategy was not foolish. Over time, it helped the building recover and become desirable. The name, the address, the views, and the fame all became assets. The owners were betting on long-term identity during a short-term crisis. The early years were painful, but the bet eventually proved that reputation can become a form of value. Office leasing struggled at first because the economy had collapsed. The early vacancy problem was not simply a failure of the building. It was the result of a national economic disaster. Businesses were shrinking, delaying decisions, and avoiding new costs wherever they could. Even a spectacular skyscraper could not make companies rent offices they did not need. This fact is important because it changes the way we judge the project. Looking back, the tower seems destined for success. At the time, its future was uncertain. Empty offices meant lost income, public criticism, and pressure on the owners. The building's scale made the challenge more visible. A small building with vacancies might be ignored. A record-breaking tower with unlit floors became a symbol people could mock. Yet the struggle also proved the building's patience. It did not need to succeed all at once to become important. It had been built for a city that would recover. When prosperity returned, the space that once seemed excessive became part of its strength. Tourists helped save the building from early financial disappointment. Visitors did something that tenants could not do quickly enough. They brought steady income, attention, and emotional attachment. The observation experience turned the skyscraper into a destination at a moment when its office business was weaker than expected. This was a remarkable shift in purpose. A building planned primarily for work discovered that wonder could be profitable. Tourists did not care about lease rates or vacancy percentages. They cared about standing above the city and seeing New York from a height that felt almost unreal. Their tickets helped support the building during a difficult period, but their importance went beyond money. They made the tower part of public life. Each visitor became a small ambassador, carrying the memory home. The building's reputation spread through personal stories, as well as newspapers and films. In a sense, tourism helped convert a risky real estate project into a beloved landmark, or became one of its earliest reliable businesses. The observation deck earned major revenue during its difficult first years. The viewing platform became an unexpected financial engine. While office floors waited for tenants, the deck offered something immediate and irresistible. People wanted the experience of height. They wanted to see the city arranged below them. They wanted to say they had stood near the top of the world's most famous skyscraper. That demand gave the building a source of income that did not depend on corporate expansion. It also helped protect the tower's reputation. Even if critics joked about empty offices, crowds at the decks proved that the public was fascinated. The building was not failing as a symbol. It was succeeding spectacularly in a different role. This distinction mattered in the long run. The observation deck made the tower emotionally accessible, and that emotional access became part of its commercial survival. The public did not merely observe the building from the street. The public entered it, paid for it, and helped keep its legend alive. The tower became a hopeful landmark when jobs were desperately needed. During the Depression, work itself had enormous meaning. The construction of the tower provided employment at a time when paychecks were badly needed. For workers and their families, the project was not only a feat of architecture. It was survival, dignity, and routine during a period of fear. For the wider public, the sight of the building rising offered a different kind of hope. It showed that large efforts could still be organized. It showed that skill still had value. It showed that the city had not stopped dreaming. This hope was not sentimental. It was grounded in labor, wages, and visible progress. Each new level suggested that tomorrow might still contain possibility. The tower could not solve the depression, and it would be wrong to pretend it did. But symbols matter when people are anxious. A structure climbing steadily into the sky became a sign that collapse was not the only story being written. Its construction employed workers during a brutal period of unemployment. The jobs created by the project mattered because they arrived in one of the harshest labor markets in American history. Men who found work on the site were entering a demanding environment, but they were also gaining income when many others had none. The project required ironworkers, masons, electricians, plumbers, elevator specialists, engineers, drivers, clerks, and many more. Each role connected to a wider network of families, suppliers, and trades. A skyscraper's economic impact spreads beyond its walls long before anyone rents an office. The wages paid on the project moved outward into meals, rent, tools, clothing, and daily survival. That gives the building's creation a social importance beyond its final appearance. It was not merely an object of ambition for wealthy backers. It was also a source of work for people living through a national emergency. The tower's history therefore belongs partly to the workers who needed it before the city admired it. The project's speed amazed newspapers across the country. The pace became news because it seemed to compress the future into the present. Reporters understood that readers were fascinated by the idea of a building rising almost faster than belief. Stories about the project traveled beyond New York, carrying images of steel, height, workers, and ambition to people who might never see the site in person. Newspapers helped turn construction into spectacle. They did not wait for completion to declare the building remarkable. The process itself became part of the drama. This publicity mattered because it built national awareness before the doors opened. Week by week, the tower's growth gave journalists a continuing story. It had danger, scale, rivalry, engineering, and human courage. In a bleak economic period, it also offered something rare to print, a story of visible achievement. The building's fame was therefore assembled in public as surely as its steel frame was assembled in the air. Its legend rose in headlines before it was finished. The building appeared on postcards before many people had visited it. A landmark can travel long before most people stand beneath it. Postcards helped the tower move through the world as an image, folded into mailbags and carried into homes far from New York. For someone in a small town or another country, the card offered a first encounter with a new kind of height. It showed a city that seemed to be racing ahead of ordinary life. The building became familiar to people who knew it only through ink, paper, and imagination. That mattered because fame in the early 20th century depended on reproduction. A place had to be photographed, printed, bought, sent, and displayed. Each postcard turned the skyscraper into a personal message. Someone could write, "I was here," or simply share proof that such a building existed. The tower's reputation spread through millions of small exchanges. Before global travel became common, its silhouette was already visiting kitchens, parlors, offices, and bedrooms around the world. Its silhouette became shorthand for ambition in American popular culture. Some shapes become so recognizable that they stop needing explanation. The tower's outline did exactly that. In cartoons, advertisements, magazine covers, and stage backdrops, its stepped form could signal New York, success, modern business, or the dream of rising higher. It did not need a detailed drawing. A simple profile was enough. That is the power of a true icon. It can compress a whole city into one form. The building suited American culture because it told a story people understood instinctively. It was upward movement made visible. It suggested that limits could be challenged, records could be broken, and ordinary ground could support extraordinary plans. Over time, this meaning spread beyond architecture. The tower became a symbol for careers, industries, and personal aspiration. People used it to picture not only New York, but the idea of reaching. It became a visual sentence about ambition, written in stone, steel, and memory. The spire gives the skyline a clear and unmistakable peak. The top of a building can decide how the whole structure is remembered. Without its spire, the tower would still be tall, but its ending would feel less dramatic. The narrow crown gives the eye a final destination. It changes the building from a massive stack of floors into a rising composition with a clear climax. From far away, that peak helps the skyline organize itself. Other towers may crowd around it, but the tapering top remains easy to find. This is why the building can be recognized in foggy photographs, distant views, and simplified drawings. The spire also creates a sense of lift. The main body rises powerfully, then the crown seems to continue the motion beyond the occupied offices. It gives the building a gesture, almost like a hand pointing upward. That final vertical accent is one reason the tower feels complete. It does not merely stop. It finishes. The building has appeared in hundreds of films and shows. Few structures have lived so many second lives on screen. Directors return to it because it can establish a place, a mood, and a scale in seconds. Sometimes it appears in the background as proof that a story belongs to New York. Sometimes it becomes a destination, a meeting point, or a symbol of longing. Its screen presence works because audiences already carry feelings about it. A camera can show the tower for a moment, and viewers understand they are entering a world of height, crowds, possibility, and pressure. This repeated use has made the building part of shared memory. People who have never visited may still feel they know it through stories they watched at home. The skyscraper became a performer without speaking. It could appear in comedy, romance, drama, science fiction, or disaster stories, and still remain itself. Its familiarity gives filmmakers a tool that is both real and mythic. Sleepless in Seattle made its observation deck feel romantic again. Romance often depends on a place that feels destined, and the tower provided exactly that feeling. In the film, the observation deck becomes more than a tourist attraction. It becomes a promise that two lives might meet above the ordinary rush of the city. The setting worked because audiences already knew the building carried history. The height gave the scene emotional distance from everyday life. The view suggested possibility. The enclosed journey upward added anticipation. By placing a modern love story there, the film refreshed an older tradition of the tower as a meeting place. It reminded viewers that architecture can hold emotion across generations. A deck built for sightseeing became a stage for hope. Afterward, many visitors came not only for the panorama, but for the feeling of stepping into a story they remembered. The film did not invent the building's romance. It awakened it for a new audience. An affair to remember helped make the tower a meeting place. A single movie can change how people use a real location. In this classic romance, the skyscraper becomes the chosen point for a future reunion. That idea lodged deeply in popular imagination. The building was already famous, but the film gave it a specific emotional role. It became a place where love might wait, where timing mattered, and where a promise could be tested. Audiences remembered the tower not only for height, but for suspense and longing. That kind of storytelling can transform tourism. Visitors do not simply go to see what is there. They go to feel what stories have placed there. The observation deck gained a powerful association with arrival, absence, and hope. This is part of the building's cultural genius. It can serve business in the daytime, broadcast signals from above, and still carry private dreams for people who arrive with movie scenes in their minds. The building hosts an annual race up its stairs. Most visitors rise by elevator, but once a year, the tower becomes a test of lungs, legs, and willpower. The stair race turns a vertical landmark into an athletic course. Competitors do not experience the building as a view or a symbol. They experience it step by step, breath by breath, through a climb that grows harder with every floor. This changes the meaning of height. From outside, the building seems graceful and still. Inside the stairwell, it becomes a mountain made by humans. The race attracts elite runners and determined participants who want to measure themselves against one of the world's most famous structures. There is something wonderfully direct about the challenge. The tower was designed to move people efficiently upward by machine, yet this event asks human bodies to do the work instead. Reaching the top becomes a physical conversation with the building's scale. The skyline turns into effort. Runners climb more than 1,500 steps to reach the deck. The number sounds simple until you imagine the repetition. Step after step, the body begins to understand what a skyscraper really means. Floors that seem effortless by elevator become a slow accumulation of muscle, breath, and focus. The stairwell is not the glamorous side of the landmark. It is narrow, functional, and direct. That makes the climb even more intense. There are no sweeping views to distract the runner. The experience is inward, rhythmic, and demanding. Each landing marks progress, but also reveals how much remains. The race turns architecture into endurance. A person climbing those stairs feels the vertical distance in a way ordinary visitors never do. The building stops being an image and becomes a physical fact. By the time runners reach the observation level, the view has been burned through strain. What most people receive in moments by elevator becomes, for them, a triumph, measured one step at a time. The stair race began in the late 1970s. The event emerged at a time when cities were rediscovering unusual ways to use their landmarks. Running had become increasingly popular, and the idea of racing up a skyscraper brought sport into the heart of architecture. The tower was already famous, but the stair race gave it a fresh annual ritual. It invited people to see the building not only as something to admire, but as something to challenge. That shift matters. Landmarks survive partly by finding new meanings for new generations. The race did not alter the exterior or rewrite the history. It added another layer. Each year, participants enter a building associated with Depression-era ambition and turn it into a stage for modern endurance. The event also reveals the hidden infrastructure of the skyscraper. Stairs usually exist for safety and service. Here, they become the main route to glory. A practical vertical passage becomes a celebrated course. Its elevators now reach the decks far faster than earlier systems. Modern visitors experience the ascent in a way earlier generations could hardly imagine. The ride is smooth, rapid, and carefully managed, turning a journey of great height into something that feels almost effortless. This improvement reflects decades of elevator innovation. Motors became more precise. Controls became smarter. Cabins became more comfortable. Safety systems became more advanced. The result is not merely convenience. It changes the emotional rhythm of visiting the tower. Instead of a long mechanical climb, the modern elevator compresses the experience. One moment, a person stands near the street. Soon after, the city is far below. That sudden transition can feel astonishing, because the body has barely had time to understand the distance. The elevator is therefore part of the wonder, not just a way to reach it. It performs the building's central trick. It takes ordinary people and moves them into the sky with a calmness that hides enormous engineering. A major renovation made the tower much more energy efficient. Old landmarks face a difficult question. How can they remain useful in a world with new environmental expectations? The tower answered through a major efficiency project that treated the building as a living system rather than a frozen relic. Engineers studied lighting, heating, cooling, insulation, controls, and tenant spaces. The goal was to reduce waste without damaging the character that made the structure famous. This kind of work is less visible than the original construction, but it is deeply important. A skyscraper consumes energy every day. Improving performance at that scale can have a large impact. The renovation also challenged a common assumption. Historic buildings are sometimes seen as beautiful but outdated. This project showed that an old skyscraper could adapt to modern standards. The achievement was not about making the tower look new. It was about helping it work better. Preservation and progress did not have to be enemies. The retrofit reduced energy use while preserving the historic exterior. The most impressive part of the efficiency work was its restraint. The building's appearance could not simply be sacrificed for performance. Its limestone walls, famous windows, and Art Deco character were central to its identity. The challenge was to improve what people did not notice while protecting what they loved. That required careful choices. Systems inside the building could be upgraded. Controls could be modernized. Glass performance could be improved. Heating and cooling could become more responsive. Much of the transformation happened behind the visible surface. This is a powerful model for historic cities. The greenest future is not always built by tearing down and starting again. Sometimes it comes from making existing buildings work intelligently for a new era. The tower's retrofit showed that preservation can be active. A landmark does not have to remain inefficient to remain authentic. It can keep its face toward history while changing the way it breathes. Its windows were upgraded without destroying their landmark appearance. Windows are one of the most delicate parts of renovating a historic skyscraper. Change them too much, and the building loses part of its original rhythm. Leave them untouched, and energy can leak away through outdated glass. The solution required a careful balance. Many existing window units were improved rather than simply discarded. Their performance was upgraded while the exterior pattern remained familiar. This approach respected both history and practicality. The ordinary visitor might never notice the change, which is part of the success. The tower still looks like itself. Yet inside, the improved windows help reduce heat loss and unwanted heat gain, making the building easier to manage. There is something satisfying about that kind of invisible progress. It does not shout. It solves. Each window remains part of the old facade, but also part of a modern environmental strategy. The building's thousands of openings became proof that even small details can carry large consequences. The building earned recognition as a model for greener skyscrapers. When an icon changes, others pay attention. The tower's efficiency work showed owners of large buildings that sustainability was not only for new construction. Older skyscrapers could also be studied, improved, and operated with far less waste. That lesson matters because many cities are already built. Their environmental future depends not only on new designs, but on transforming the structures that already stand. The Empire State Building became a case people could point to because it was famous, complex, and historic. If such a recognizable landmark could be upgraded, then excuses became harder to make elsewhere. The project connected prestige with responsibility. It suggested that a building admired for height and beauty could also be admired for performance. This added another chapter to its influence. It had once inspired builders to reach upward. Later, it inspired them to look inward, at energy systems, operating habits, and the hidden costs of keeping towers alive. The tower became a National Historic Landmark in 1986. Official recognition confirmed what the public already felt. The building was no longer just an old skyscraper. It had become part of the nation's cultural memory. A National Historic Landmark designation identifies places with exceptional importance, and this tower clearly qualified. Its significance reached across architecture, engineering, urban history, popular culture, and public identity. The designation also helped protect the idea that the building should be treated with care. Fame alone does not always preserve a place. Legal and historical recognition can guide future decisions, especially when commercial pressures push for change. By the 1980s, the tower had lived through decades of shifting taste. Some once dismissed Art Deco as old-fashioned. Others saw the building as familiar enough to take for granted. Landmark status made its value explicit. It told future generations that this structure was not merely useful property. It was a rare surviving witness to a defining moment in modern city building. Its lobby restoration revived details hidden since the 1960s. Restoring the lobby was like letting the building remember itself. During earlier alterations, parts of the original interior had been covered, simplified, or obscured. Tastes had changed, and the rich Art Deco character was not always valued as it is today. Later restoration work reversed that loss. Craftspeople studied old drawings, photographs, materials, and finishes to bring back the intended atmosphere. The goal was not to create a fantasy version of the past. It was to recover the design language that visitors were meant to encounter from the beginning. This mattered because the lobby is the building's handshake. It is where the public first meets the tower at human scale. When hidden details returned, the entrance regained depth and coherence. People could once again feel the connection between the street-level experience and the famous silhouette above. The restoration proved that preservation can be a form of storytelling, revealing chapters that careless modernization had nearly erased. The ceiling mural was recreated with thousands of metal leaf pieces. Some restoration work is so detailed that it borders on devotion. The lobby ceiling required thousands of pieces of metal leaf to recreate the shimmering surface associated with the original design. This was not a quick cosmetic repair. It demanded patience, skill, and respect for materials that behave differently under light. Metal leaf catches illumination in a way paint cannot. It gives the ceiling a sense of richness and movement as visitors pass below. The work also restored an important Art Deco idea. The lobby was meant to feel modern, elegant, and slightly ceremonial. Overhead decoration helped create that effect. Rebuilding it piece by piece brought back a lost relationship between craftsmanship and grandeur. It is easy to think of skyscrapers only in terms of steel and height, but this ceiling reminds us that tiny acts of handwork also shape a landmark. Thousands of small fragments helped restore the building's sense of arrival. The building's Art Deco eagles still greet visitors near the entrances. The eagles are more than decoration. They act like guardians of the doorway, giving the entrances a sense of confidence and ceremony. In Art Deco design, animals were often stylized into sharp, powerful forms. These eagles do not look soft or naturalistic. They look streamlined, controlled, and modern. That makes them perfect for the building. They connect old symbols of strength with the machine-age language of the skyscraper. A visitor passing them may not stop to analyze the design, but the effect is immediate. The entrance feels important. The building seems aware of its own stature. Details like these help explain why the tower remains beloved. Its greatness is not only in distant views from across the city. It is also in the encounter at the door, where metal forms, stone surfaces, and careful proportions prepare the mind for ascent. The eagles make arrival feel like an event. Its marble interiors use stones from several different countries. The interior materials tell a story of global sourcing and carefully managed luxury. Marble was chosen not only for durability, but for color, pattern, and prestige. Different stones brought different visual qualities into the lobby and public spaces. Some surfaces appear warm. Others feel cool, formal, or richly veined. Together, they create an atmosphere that belongs to a building meant to impress from the moment of entry. This is easy to miss because people often hurry through lobbies. Yet the material choices were deliberate. Stone connects the skyscraper to permanence, even though the building itself was a product of modern speed. The marble grounds the experience. It says that this place is not temporary, not flimsy, and not merely commercial. At the same time, the international origins of the stone reveal the reach of the project. Materials from far beyond Manhattan were gathered to shape one carefully staged New York interior. The tower's stepped crown was designed for drama as well as height. The upper form is not just a technical ending. It is a carefully shaped finale. As the building narrows, the mass becomes more theatrical, guiding the eye from broad lower levels to a concentrated summit. This makes the tower feel taller and more graceful than a simple flat-topped block of the same height. The crown also helps the building hold attention from far away. It gives the skyline a memorable climax, especially when lit at night. Drama mattered because the project was born in an age when skyscrapers competed for public imagination. A building could not only be large, it had to be seen, remembered, and talked about. The stepped crown achieved that without excessive ornament. It used geometry as spectacle. The result is a top that feels both disciplined and exciting. It completes the tower's upward movement in a way that seems inevitable, as though the whole building had been preparing for that final rise. Its observation experience now includes museum-style exhibits about its history. A modern visit is no longer only about reaching the view. The building now teaches its own story before guests arrive at the decks. Exhibits show how it was imagined, built, filmed, restored, and woven into public life. This changes the experience in an important way. Visitors do not simply look outward at New York. They also look inward at the history of the tower itself. The exhibits help people understand that the building is not just famous because it is tall. It is famous because so many human stories converged there. Workers, architects, tenants, tourists, filmmakers, engineers, and restorers all left their mark. By presenting that history on site, the building becomes its own archive. The visit gains emotional weight. The view at the end feels richer because the climb has already passed through memory. A tourist attraction becomes a lesson in how a skyscraper can become part of the world's imagination. The building survived changing skylines because its shape remained unforgettable. Many towers lose prominence when taller neighbors appear. This one did not, because recognition is not measured only in feet. Its form is strong enough to survive visual competition. The setbacks, central shaft, and pointed crown create a profile people can remember after a single glance. That matters in a city where the skyline constantly changes. New glass towers rise. Older buildings are hidden from certain angles. The urban horizon becomes denser and more complicated. Yet this tower still reads clearly. It has the kind of identity that newer buildings often struggle to achieve. Height can be surpassed by the next ambitious project, but a memorable silhouette is harder to replace. The building's survival in public affection comes from that visual clarity. It remains legible within the crowd. Even when it is no longer the tallest object in view, it often feels like the one the eye was searching for all along. It has inspired skyscraper builders far beyond New York. Influence travels through drawings, photographs, visits, and ambition. Architects and developers around the world studied the tower as proof that height could become identity. It showed that a skyscraper could be more than rentable space. It could define a city's image. That lesson mattered in places building their own modern skylines. The tower's combination of clear massing, dramatic crown, and public fame offered a model of how architecture could become a symbol. Not every later skyscraper copied its appearance, but many followed its larger message. Build high enough, shape the top carefully, connect the building to civic pride, and the structure might become known far beyond its address. The influence also reached the public. People came to expect great cities to have a defining tower. In that sense, the Empire State Building helped create the global idea of the signature skyscraper. Its shadow stretches far beyond Manhattan, not physically, but imaginatively. The tower's image has appeared on stamps, souvenirs, and advertisements. Reproduction turned the building into a portable icon. Its image could fit on a stamp, a keychain, a poster, a toy, a mug, or a travel advertisement, and still remain instantly recognizable. That kind of flexibility is rare. Some buildings require detail to be understood. This one survives simplification. Its outline can be miniaturized without losing meaning. Souvenirs carried it into homes and suitcases. Advertisements used it to borrow the energy of New York. Stamps gave it a place in official visual culture. Each reproduction added to the tower's presence in everyday life. People did not need to visit the building to own a small version of it. This helped make the skyscraper both grand and familiar. It could stand above Manhattan as a serious architectural achievement, while also living playfully in shops and collections. The building became a landmark you could look up at, mail, wear, display, or hold in your hand. Its construction photographs shaped how people imagined skyscraper workers. The public memory of high-rise labor is deeply tied to images from this era. Photographs of workers on open steel created a lasting archetype. The skyscraper worker became brave, balanced, practical, and almost impossibly calm above the city. These images influenced how later generations pictured urban construction, even when safety equipment and methods changed. They also created a mythology around the making of modern New York. Viewers saw men in ordinary clothes doing extraordinary work in places that seemed to belong to birds. The photographs were compelling because they combined danger with routine. A worker might smoke, eat, grin, or lean, as if the void beneath him were nothing unusual. That contrast made the scenes unforgettable. The pictures did more than document a job. They gave the skyline a human face. Every time people imagine the city being built beam by beam, they are often imagining a visual language shaped by those photographs. The building's opening coincided with a new age of vertical cities. When the tower opened, it represented more than one record. It revealed where modern urban life was heading. Dense cities were learning to expand upward through steel frames, elevators, zoning rules, electrical systems, and corporate demand. This changed the meaning of land. A single city block could hold thousands of workers above the street. Business districts could grow without spreading endlessly outward. The vertical city was not just a design idea. It was a response to pressure, technology, and ambition. The Empire State Building arrived as one of the clearest expressions of that transformation. It showed how far the model could be pushed. It also made the future visible to the public. People could stand on the sidewalk and see a new urban logit rising above them. The building belonged to a turning point, when cities stopped being understood only as streets and neighborhoods. They became layered worlds, stacked high into the air. Its radio mast made it useful long after its height record ended. Records fade, but usefulness can continue. Once the building no longer held the tallest title, its elevated position still mattered enormously. The mast gave it a practical role that newer rankings could not erase. Broadcasting equipment used the tower's height to reach across the region, keeping the structure embedded in daily life. This is one reason the building did not become merely historic after taller towers appeared. It remained active infrastructure. People might admire it as an icon while also depending on signals connected to it. That dual role gave the tower unusual resilience. It was not frozen as a monument to the past. It kept doing work. The mast, once tied to a failed aviation dream, found lasting purpose in communication. That adaptation helped the building move from one technological era into another. Its fame came from the skyline, but its continued relevance also came from invisible waves moving through the air. The Empire State Building remains one of the world's most photographed towers. A camera loves a form that can be recognized instantly. The tower offers that gift from countless angles. It can be framed from avenues, rooftops, bridges, hotel rooms, parks, aircraft, and distant waterfronts. In each view, it carries enough identity to hold the image together. Photographers return to it because it changes with weather, season, time of day, and surrounding light. Morning can make it pale and crisp. Sunset can warm its stone. Night can turn the crown into a signal. The building also gives scale to the city around it. Place it in a photograph, and Manhattan suddenly has a center of gravity. This endless photographability has helped keep the tower alive in global culture. Every image renews the landmark. Each picture says, in its own way, that the building is still worth looking at. More than a structure, it has become one of the world's most dependable visual signatures. Its endurance comes from engineering, timing, beauty, and public affection. Longevity in architecture is never caused by one thing alone. A building must stand physically, but it must also remain meaningful. This tower had strong engineering, which allowed it to survive decades of use, weather, and change. It had extraordinary timing, arriving at a moment when the world needed symbols of ambition. It had beauty, not in excessive decoration, but in a form clear enough to become unforgettable. Most importantly, it gained public affection. People adopted it into their own stories. They visited it, filmed it, mailed its image, met loved ones there, raced up its stairs, watched its lights, and used it to imagine New York. That emotional ownership protected the building in a way no steel frame could. Many structures are admired. Fewer are loved. The tower's endurance comes from the meeting of practical strength and human attachment. It remains standing because it was well built, and it remains famous because people kept caring. The tower still feels like New York reaching upward. Some buildings become so closely tied to a place that they seem to express its character. This one does that with unusual force. It captures a city that is crowded, ambitious, restless, and proud of vertical possibility. The tower does not explain New York completely. No building could. Yet it holds something essential about the city's desire to rise despite difficulty. It was born from competition, shaped by labor, tested by crisis, transformed by culture, and preserved by affection. That history gives its height emotional weight. When people look at it, they are not only seeing floors and stone. They are seeing a century of belief in the power of cities to reinvent themselves. The building still feels alive because New York still understands upward motion as part of its identity. New towers may climb higher, but this one remains the gesture people recognize. It is the city lifting its face toward the sky. And so, we come gently back down from the heights of the Empire State Building. Tonight, we followed the story of a tower that rose during one of the hardest chapters in American history. We saw how steel, stone, ambition, and careful planning turned a Manhattan block into one of the most famous landmarks on Earth. We looked at the workers who built it high above the streets, the dreamers who imagined airships at its summit, and the millions of visitors who carried its view home in memory. We watched it become a symbol on postcards, in films, in photographs, and in the glowing night skyline of New York. We saw it survive changing times, changing skylines, and changing ideas about what a skyscraper could be. And through it all, the tower remained there, tall, familiar, and steady. Now, looked at it from far away. The city has softened into evening. The windows are small points of light. The crown glows above the avenues. Below it, traffic moves like a slow current, and the great building rests in the middle of it all, as it has for generations. If you enjoyed this journey, you're very welcome to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps other curious minds find their way here too. And if you happen to still be awake, there will be another sleepy history video waiting on the screen for you. But for now, there is nothing more you need to do. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the last thoughts of the day drift away, floor by floor, until the whole world feels a little quieter. The tower can keep watch over the city. You can rest now. Sleep well, and good night.